Welcome to the Patient Advocate CEO Show, real talk for professional advocates. This is where independent advocates build client-funded, sustainable practices and step fully into CEO leadership.
So this is what I'm seeing. Most advocates are waiting for confidence before they commit. CEOs do the exact opposite. Confidence doesn't come first. Commitment does. And today, I want to break down why that matters so much, especially if you're trying to build a real client-funded advocacy practice instead of staying stuck in hesitation. This episode isn't about motivation. It's about momentum, actually getting created at a professional level. Let me say this very clearly. I want you to be sure to hear this. Confidence is not a personality trait. It's not something that you find, and it's not something that you wait for. Confidence is a byproduct of the decisions that are backed by your actions. Every advocate I've ever worked with who feels confident today did not start that way. They started by deciding how they operate, deciding what they offer, deciding what they don't do, and deciding what standard they're willing to uphold, even when it feels uncomfortable. That's what separates helpers from CEOs. Here's the truth that most people avoid. Waiting for confidence is a form of avoidance. It feels responsible and it sounds very thoughtful, but structurally it keeps you stuck because confidence doesn't create clarity. Clarity creates confidence. And clarity only shows up after a decision has been made. So CEOs don't feel ready and then act. They act and readiness follows. Here's what I'm seeing advocates doing instead. They say things like, I just need to feel more confident before I price this. I want to be sure before I commit to this offer. And I'm almost ready. I just need a little more clarity. But what's actually happening is this. They're keeping everything flexible. Nothing is locked in. Nothing is decided. And flexibility feels very safe until it starts eroding your momentum. Because you cannot build confidence on a moving foundation. At the CEO level, confidence is built through decision-backed execution. And that means that you decide what you're offering, you execute it consistently, you evaluate it based on reality, not emotion, and then you refine. This is how momentum is actually created. Not through perfect plans, not through waiting for certainty, but through committing long enough for feedback to exist. Confidence shows up when your brain can say, I know what I'm doing because I've done it. Now, how does this show up in the real world, right? Every confident advocate I know has this in common. They stopped renegotiating with themselves. Yeah, they stopped renegotiating with themselves. They didn't change direction every time discomfort showed up in their day. They did not confuse nervousness with misalignment. They stayed long enough to let the work actually work. And that is not stubbornness. That is professionalism. And it's one of the most overlooked CEO skills in advocacy. So let's make this practical. If you want confidence, here's what you're going to do next. Pick a clear offer, decide how to price it, commit to delivering it consistently for a defined period of time. My suggestion is a minimum of 90 days, and stop redeciding every single week. Confidence grows when your nervous system learns that you can follow through. This isn't about forcing yourself. It's about removing constant decision fatigue. Remember, CEOs don't operate in permanent reconsideration mode. Ask yourself this question and answer it honestly. Where am I delaying commitment under the label of getting ready? Is it your pricing? Maybe it's your offer structure, your schedule, or maybe your boundaries. That is likely where your confidence is leaking, not because you're incapable, but because the decision hasn't been locked in yet. Okay? So this is exactly why Patient Advocate CEO exists as a professional environment, not to hype you up, not to hold space, but to help you actually decide and then start executing. Confidence isn't built through conversation. It's built through implementation. That's what we optimize for here. So if this has landed, if it's feeling like you, if you're recognizing this in yourself, here's what you can do next. If you want structure, templates, and decision clarity, start inside the Independent Video Vault. If you want to apply this live and build momentum in real time, join us for the Weekly Advocacy Power Hour. We meet every Wednesday. And if you're ready to lock decisions and build a 90-day plan, then meet with me and get a CEO action plan session scheduled, because that's where it happens. Confidence is not waiting for certainty. Confidence is choosing and then backing that choice with action. That is how CEOs build momentum.
If today's episode helped you think differently about your work, don't stop here. Independent advocacy doesn't grow through more information. It grows through clarity and execution. So your next step is simple. Join us inside the Weekly Advocacy Power Hour for free practical training every single week. All the links are below.